What did I wake up thinking this morning? I've had two thoughts, two main ones. One regarding Kirk and one regarding political violence. The one regarding Kirk is that, it's quite easy to condemn the circumstances of his death. I don't think anyone thinks anyone should be shot and killed. And we don't really have a motive or anything. So I hesitate to say shot and killed for his speech. Like we don't really know. But a political figure being killed is a terrible tragedy. But I also think that some of the remembrance of Kirk is edging in the hagiography. And it seems that people are forgetting, if they ever knew, the kind of work that Kirk did, which was the maintenance of watch lists for professors who violated conservative orthodoxy, which was demands for the state suppression of his political opponents, which was spreading really awful stuff about racial and gender minorities. And so I've also been somewhat troubled by the sort of eulogizing of Kirk as a champion for discourse and dialogue, because I don't think that stuff constitutes the kind of discourse and dialogue we want to see. I guess I want people to both hold two ideas in mind, which is that this was a tragedy, but that doesn't somehow mean we should airbrush Kirk's legacy. I took the occasion this morning to read the Times obituary for Father Colin. And so I just pulled it up on Times Machine, which New York Times subscribers have access to. So Father Colin, of course, Charles Colin, was a famed radio demagogue of the 1930s, viciously anti-Semitic and bigoted in many ways, and had a huge following through the 1930s. And it was interesting to read the obituary, which both recognized his influence and importance, but didn't shy away from the reality of the man. And this is how I feel about Kirk. We can recognize his influence, but we shouldn't shy away from the reality of the man. As for political violence, I find myself wanting to remind people that the United States has a long history of endemic political violence. And although we do seem to be approaching the return of higher levels of political violence, it's kind of important for us not to indulge the fantasy that this is somehow foreign to our experience. It's like very much part of the American experience.
Well, hearkening back to 1968, which was the year of political violence, right? I mean,
but even before that, right? You can read, Lincoln's Lyceum speech where he's decrying mob violence against people who disagree with prevailing views, right? Elijah Lovejoy, slaughtered for publishing abolitionist tracts. Like it's tarring and feathering during the Revolution. I mean, it's sort of a recurring part of our experience.
What are students going to be thinking about debate on campus now? What is, people who speak on college campuses, and I know all of us here do, how do we feel approaching an event on a college campus now? These college debates, these college discussions, this is some of the lifeblood of our democracy. And when you had a murder in the middle of a college event, in addition to the tragedy, horrific tragedy impacting Charlie and his family and his friends, we have this radiating impact into the culture as well, specifically into the culture of the college campus. And this is something that I've been thinking about, it's the horror of the moment and then the radiating impact that we're going to have on American discourse.
I take that observation. I take that point about the consequence and the weightiness of this particular incident. My response here is less about those making that point and more about what I sense is a kind of sanctification of Kirk as this exemplar of dialogue and discourse in the country. And I don't think that's an accurate picture of the man who lived. And I mean, he was prolific. So it's not particularly difficult to get a good sense of what Kirk believed about things and whose stated beliefs were, in essence, that people of his ideological persuasion ought to be able to suppress the views of the people they don't like. That's what the professor watch list was, something his organization continues to maintain. A watch list of professors and instructors and adjuncts and whomever's on a college campus of their speech for saying things he doesn't like and saying things the organization doesn't like. And it's been strange to me to see Governor Gavin Newsom praise Kirk as having been committed to good faith discourse and then read an entry on this watch list of a professor not speaking in the classroom, speaking as a private citizen in his own life. And then at the bottom of this entry, it says, contact this guy's employer to harass and maybe try to get him fired. I want people to basically be able to do two things at once, to sort of say, in line with David, that this was a tragedy for Kirk and his family and his friends, that this should not have happened, that this is very consequential. And at the same time say, we're not going to airbrush this guy's life and this guy's legacy, right? As a political communicator.